a couple of times online. Did we ever met in person, Anessa?
No, we haven't, Linda. I know, and I've met Linda through Albany Can Code and teaching other classes. She's been a guest speaker for a previous class of mine before, so
a couple of times.
Yeah.
Online.
So
Did we ever met in person, Anessa?
No, we haven't, Linda. I know, and I've met Linda through Albany.
Oops, are you all still there?
Yeah, but
oh my, something happened. Oh, Anissa, you're on mute, I think.
No, you know what was happening? I think, so question, I think what I did was do the live stream to YouTube and I was playing it, but is this part okay to be on the live stream or should I not do it until I start class? How does that normally happen?
You can go ahead and start the live stream now. Yeah, we'll cut off the parts that we don't want.
Okay. Let me confirm that that's there.
Yeah, and Jesse said he will be joining, but he's only going to be observing. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Linda's information in here. Let me just take a quick look at this. Yeah, and I think some students are still filing, and it's about 5:30, so I'll wait for about another minute or two. Sometimes the connections are slow.
Hi, Kathleen.
Oh, great. Oh, Linda, this slideshow is great.
Thank you.
I love the colors.
Me too, but they say that it's better to have slides with less colors and things like this. And I cannot, sometimes I have to put some colors in there.
No, this is nice. I like it. Let's see.
Jesse is here. Hi, Jesse and Caitlin.
Hey, everyone.
Hi,
hey,
Jesse.
Yeah, hey, Dana. Hey, Nisa, everyone.
Okay, so Linda, I am putting the link up to your slides in Slack, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Oh, goodness. Look, here I go. Okay, and I'm in C2, great. Linda, your last name is with a CS or is it just C-O-V-A-C?
CS, yeah.
CS, okay. All right, and I am all set to begin. Bring that up. And now I just have to find my face again in Zoom. Where am I? There we go. Oh, good evening, everyone, students. Long time no see. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've been gone forever. I'm really excited to be here tonight, seeing everyone. All right, and without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. It's about 5:32 and we have a lot going on today. We have about 2 weeks left, a little less than 2 weeks left for Careers in Code. It went by really, really fast. I don't know about the rest of y'all. Do you think it went by fast? I mean, chime in, thumbs up. It went by extremely fast. But your journey is almost over. So this week we start module 12. Module 12, this is week number 23. Today's date is August the 16th, and we're starting our cybersecurity module. That is cybersecurity fundamentals and web security. And your instructor for this week is Miss Anissa Hussein. Your teaching assistants are Caitlin Warboy, who you're very familiar with, and also Ryan Goss, who was one of your former instructors. We have some reminders for your capstone. The first being the meetup RSVP. Make sure that you RSVP for the capstone meetup. It will be on August the 26th at 6:00 p.m. So please do that if you haven't done so already. And as far as last week, the rundown for the last week of classes, which will start on 8/23, please review the last week of class rundown. This includes the capstone expectations, resources, example decks, presentation information, run of show for the last week, et cetera, et cetera. We'll have a dry run during the next week to help you prepare and also get feedback on your presentations and just to get you more comfortable. And Jesse created a video running through the document rather than going over it during class tonight, if it's helpful. So if anyone has any questions on this document or on the recording, please let us know. And we want you to know that the recording is essentially a rehash of the document. And next on our rundown for tonight is to introduce you to our guest speaker. Her name is Miss Linda Kovacs. And Linda's going to talk to you tonight about how to get a job in tech after the boot camp graduation. So just to give you a little background on Linda, she was born in Romania and she started programming in BASIC when she was in elementary school. And she made her way up through computer science in college and other programming languages. And in February of 2019, she was nominated as a Woman Tech Maker Ambassador for Capital Region, and she started to involve more women in a group that she's very active in, the Google Developers Group, and they do coding events and meetups. And she started to lead the Google Developers Group meetup on Flutter, Google Cloud Machine Learning with hands-on and code labs, Firebase AMP, Chrome Extended, DevFest, I Am Remarkable, and the IWD celebration event. And in 2020, Linda proudly joined Accenture as a software engineer. The link to Linda's presentation tonight are available for your convenience in Slack. And without further ado, Miss Linda Kovacs.
Oh, thank you. Such a great presentation. I think I will not be able to do it myself. I will share my screen before I go. I don't have the option.
Anissa, can you give her
Sorry.
that option? Okay.
That's my bad.
No
I'll go ahead and do that.
No worries.
I think you should be able to, Linda. I think that everyone has screen sharing ability. Do you not see the ability to, Linda?
No, at the bottom I have participants chat. Yeah, now I see.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was exactly in the middle. I couldn't see.
Yep, no worries. Thanks, Linda.
Just one thing before you start, Anissa or one of the TAs, if you haven't turned on the closed captioning, I think we've been turning that on at the beginning of class. Yeah, you can go ahead and start that. Okay, thank you. All right, Linda, you're all set.
Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful presentation, by the way. So here is very little to be said about me because Dana did a great job. So as you know, I'm a software engineer at Accenture. Recently, I got the Google Cloud Associate Engineer certified. And as you are going through your full stack developer bootcamp, a while ago, I did the same journey as you did before I joined Accenture. And I would like to share what is life after a bootcamp. And I tried everything, and I will tell you what worked for me and what didn't work. This doesn't mean that for you will not work, but I will tell you my experience, the way it worked for me, and how I arrived where I am today. Please feel free to ask me any questions. If anyone asks questions in the chat, please let me know. I may not see them, okay? So, also I am Romanian, Italian, American citizen, and I think this helped me a lot with learning new languages, especially for us full stack developers. We are always learning new languages. And today I will talk with you about how to find your dream job, what I did to find my dream job. Actually, I wrote it down. I tell you the truth. You have to write down your goals. Of course, I didn't imagine I will join Accenture, but anyways, I wanted to join a big tech company. I was dreaming first at Google, to join Google, but in the end I joined Accenture. So, and it's even better for me because I'm Google Developer Group Lead and Women Tech Makers Ambassador in my free time. And when you join Google, you cannot be, you have to give up these volunteering activities. So it's better this way for me. It worked just perfect. So let's go to see. So now you finish, soon you'll finish your bootcamp and you will start your job search, unless you already just started to apply for jobs. And I will encourage you to start as soon as possible. Just don't wait until the last moment, because what happens, you will be ready to apply for jobs, but you might not be ready to interview, because you know, interviewing, we don't learn, we don't born with this ability at interviewing. So we have to prepare, we have to practice. So in order to practice, the best way, I always tell everybody, is to just apply for jobs. Even if you don't get the job, at least to get the job interview practice, which it will help you go a step further to the next job interview. So even and I always tell everybody, if you get a rejection, don't take it negatively. Take it as a step forward toward your success. I applied to many companies. I didn't get, for example, even Accenture. I applied even in 2019, and I didn't get the job. And I got it only in 2020. So just don't give up. And sometimes when you apply for big corporations, you might have limitations in applying, maybe 6 months, 1 year, but just persist and you will get wherever you want to be. So that is my advice. And keep practicing. The best practice is with the real job interviews. So how I tailor my job search was applying for jobs. If I get phone calls back, means, oh, okay, so means that my resume and my LinkedIn profile and cover letter works. Otherwise, if you don't hear nothing after 20, 30, because might be that in the beginning, let's say like 20, after 20, 30, you just get only one person back, but that's okay. That means that things start to move. And when I started to get calls back, I said, okay, I don't have to change any more things here. I have to move to the next step. What is next step? The HR interview, and practice my skills there with them. And then going to the tech interview and the technical interview and so on. And that's how you get from one stage to another until you get your job interview. Your job offer, sorry. So of course, like everybody, I had this dream of freelancing. So I tried. So always, I never say that I don't like something if I don't try it. And if I have dreams, I always go to pursue them. So I was I wanted so much to start my business, because I already had my husband's business that I take care of his taxes and other things. So I says, oh, okay, I would like to pursue them. I was working before with a big corporation as a web developer, but I was working with LAMP stack, Linux, Apache, PHP, and MySQL. And in 2016, I saw that this will a little bit fade away. And I knew that JavaScript and React and everything will boom. So I was looking for a change, but I was learning in my free time. And when I was going to work, I will not practice none of that learning. So that was like taking too much time for me to move on. So what I did, I started freelancing. So you have pros and cons. I will not read them. I will only tell you a few things about my experience. So I started freelancing and how I got my clients. Because the thing here, it's very difficult to get clients and clients that pay you, you know. So I started to go to meetups here in the area, and I really encourage you to be really active in your community, because that's the only one way you can get in contact with the businesses in the area and people get to know you. And if they know somebody that has a job that would like to pass it on, they will get in contact with you. So that's what happened to me. Also, I got lucky enough to be in contact with the Albany Can Code, and even they send me some clients, which is a boot camp here in the area, in Albany area, just like yours. And I got lucky enough to get people that, I know from somebody, that you get that credibility, which is different than when you work with people that you don't know. So that's why you have here, as I told you, here you have this freedom and flexibility and independence and everything you want, but there are cons that you have to consider when going to freelance. You have to do your own taxes, which is complicated and challenging. Then you don't have vacation, you have to make your own vacation, you don't have pay time off, and so on. So there are many things, and you always have to make sure that clients pay you, and and I will tell you what tools you can use also. So I use PayPal for invoicing, because they have such a nice invoicing system. And also another thing with PayPal, if you have disputes or something, they do that moderation, and they will also, I will suggest you, if you go in meantime until you get a job for a company to freelance, to have contracts to protect yourself and your clients, of course. And also make sure that you have at least 50% of the payment upfront, and let's say the rest before the final delivery. Also, what I did when I started freelancing, I joined the Freelancers Union, which offers free services for freelancers. And they offer like health benefits, health insurances, which is very important. When you work for yourself, you have to have those, and they have some discounts. Also, you have a community to interact with, and they have these free services for when you have problems, let's say, with the client. I never had to use these services, but just you always have to be prepared, because you never know when you have problems. It's a business, when you freelance, you are your own CEO boss, no? So if you have clients that they don't pay you, they have this free advocacy that they will help you get paid, and other tools. So if you, plus, give me 1 second, I hope. Plus, you can, 1 second, I will show you. You can, you will have like a logo that you can add to your email signature or in your website, that you are a member of Freelancers Union, and so on. Oh, let's go from here. Also, what I tried, and for me didn't work, but I would like to talk about Upwork, 5R. There are people that they make a lot of money with the Upwork and 5R, and I will tell you why it didn't work for me. Maybe for you will work. the only one, the good thing, if you work with them, you have this protection. If something happens with your clients, you have first of all payment protection. So when you get the job, they put a hold on that money, and when you deliver the work, they pay you. So that is a good thing. You don't have that hassle, headache going after the clients to pay you and things like this. Another thing is if you have disputes or something, they always intervene and so on. You work with the professionals. The cons here are that they have a high commission fee, and also you compete, there is a lot of competition, and there is a bidding system that the lower price wins, and also you have to write and send proposals to get that job. And another thing is you have to be aware of scammers. There are scammers all over the place. So for me, it didn't work because a little bit because of the low prices. I have my website and I have my pricing list, which is a little bit higher than what these websites offer. And I will tell you why, because we live in New York State, and as you know, we have high taxes. And I cannot lower my prices to work for free, because if I have to work for free, I rather go and volunteer, and that contributes to my resume, than to go to work to give my services for free to employers to take benefit from it. So I rather help the non-profits for free than do that. So that was, and another thing, I don't like to write proposals. I had to Google to see how other people do. But if you are good in it, and there are people that they make a lot of money, for me, it didn't work. So I moved on. I changed the page in my life, and I went to the next level. Also, keep in mind that the enemy number one of all of us is when you have to get a job is the comfort zone. Why? Because we are always having fears. We are always terrified what is there outside. And many times when we have negative feedback influences us, which pushes us back into our comfort zone. And yes, it's good, you feel safe and in control, but when you are safe and in control, nothing changes. So try to push yourself over the comfort zone and confront your fears. And only that way you will be able to grow, to go where you want to be. It's not easy. Don't get discouraged. If you get discouraged, you have a Slack community. Try to share your experience, talk with others when you feel down, and others will encourage you, and you will go to the next level. It's very good to stay in contact, all of you, in your job search, and encourage one each other, share your wins, celebrating, because we always forget, we always have big goals, but then we forget to celebrate. That is not a good thing, because after our brain will say, okay, I did all this job for nothing, you don't even recognize. So we have to be grateful for every little win that we have. Even when we get the first call, even if we didn't arrive yet to the end, just celebrate it, be happy. It's a step forward to your career. I didn't got the job with Accenture first time. This didn't mean nothing. This didn't put me down. I applied again and again to other companies. I got to interview with them. I got to practice with them, and I was able to choose the offer that I liked. The only one thing is what I used. So how I got here, right? I used many things, and you should, when I did all of this stuff, I didn't know that this will take me here, no? I did it because I wanted to be into the community. I wanted to be with people. I wanted to meet, to see what other people does, to get inspired, to help others, and things will get back. Because many times when you help others, things turn back in another way. Not that you have that person has to help you back, but things happen, you know. So one thing triggers other. So I was doing meetups, as I told you, for GDG Capital Region and Women Tech Makers Ambassador. I was leading International Women Days and Google Cloud workshops and so on. And also another thing that I did was posting in LinkedIn. Remember that LinkedIn, it's your best friend. If you don't, if you are a kind of person that, let's say, you don't like to post, I don't like to post either, I tell you the truth. I'm not kind of person that posts every day anything and everything, no? So I was taking this opportunity of organizing meetups, or if I see something that Jesse shares about Hack Up State or Careers in Code or Albany Can Code or anybody else, I will reshare it. So, and not only other people can take advantage of. If you see something that, let's say, I see sometimes things that I'm not interested. No, I'm not interested in taking Careers in Code. But if I share that post, somebody in my network might be interested and might take advantage. Not only you come up front in searches, no? The hiring managers will see you. So try to share things and you will get more activity on your profile, and that will help you. That's how I got many times I got on LinkedIn direct messages from hiring managers for positions that I didn't even know to apply about. So, and even nowadays I receive lots of offers. So even though I'm not interested anymore, because I really love my job and I really like my team and things like this. But keep in mind, try to be active, even if you don't like, you don't have nothing to post. Or sometimes in Twitter, they have this like 100 days of code or things. It's just something to make noise, because this is how the world revolves around, the digital world. Many times we don't like to be the person that, but at least you can share something from somebody else and make things go on and on. And remember, if you have a chance to join meetups in your area, is the best way to meet employers and opportunities, and you will make friends, people that you didn't even know. That many times happened to me, and not only to me, I saw people that was coming to these meetups that they was exchanging jobs one with another. Oh, I know somebody who needs somebody to do a website, or and so on. And things from one thing to another, it will happen in your life. So try to get out of your box if you can, and go out there, and the world will be yours. I joined this Google developer group because it was the only one more active in our area. And at the time, I remember I wanted something like JavaScript, React, because, you know, I was learning Modern stack. So, but I couldn't find it. And I said, I don't have nothing in common with them. What I'm going to do? But things change, and this helped me a lot. And I'm really happy that I did that move, even though in the beginning I said, I'm going just to check to see what it is about. This, I don't think so this will help me at all, because I wish to find somebody so we can talk the same thing. But as you can see, today I'm where I am just because of that. I don't know what. And here is a little bit in few words my journey. Because as Dana says, I'm born in Romania, then I moved in Italy. I lived in Italy for 12 years, and then I moved here 8 years ago. So, I did different kind of jobs because just because when you go in a new country, you cannot specialize and want only that job because it's kind of difficult. You have to adapt yourself to what you can find. So I did even translator and I enjoy it. I don't like to do it now as a translator, but I enjoy it. So you have to live day by day and enjoy the little things, and the little things will bring you big things.
Hey,
So,
Linda, I just want to let you know that we're just about at time, and we
yes.
want to allow a few minutes for a question and answer session. So we did start a few minutes late, so we'll go just a little past 6, Anissa, if you don't mind, just to
Yeah.
allow students to come off of mute and go ahead and ask questions. But before we do that, I do have a couple of questions in the chat.
Mhm.
If I can scroll up and see this, hold on. Okay, Latanya's question is, how much time and energy do you suggest investing before transitioning to no longer pursuing that particular thing? For example, Upwork or freelance versus a more traditional employment path?
Actually, what I did them in the same time. No, I says maybe I get an offer here, an offer there. But after a while, when I saw that I'm not willing to write the proposals because I hated it, I did like 2 or 3, and then I gave up. I know when something is just something that I feel in my stomach. Many times, if I feel something in my stomach, that will not work for me. So you have to feel your guts. If you think rationally, you might do things that emotionally you will not do it. So usually I use this because I'm a very rational person, but when I feel that thing in my stomach, I know it will not work for me. So I just gave up. I did few times. Plus, you have to think even that many things when you try it first, it might take a longer time to have results. I didn't waited enough. I didn't work enough on it to get those results. So that's why.
Okay. All right, and we have two more questions. The second one is, what was your approach to preparing for technical interviews? And then the last one is, do you have a website for your freelancing business? Do you want to start with the last one first to shout out your website and then answer the question about your approach for preparing for technical interviews?
Oh, yeah. So my website, it's even here you can see it, linda-kovacs.com. Yes, now it's kind of I'm not updating it anymore because I'm not looking for jobs, and it's like a work in progress. But I leave it there. It's like for me now, it's a place to place all my links and things, all the articles that I publish, all the talks that I give, where I went, and things like this. But definitely I have, and there is a page with my pricing that I didn't update it lately, like few years and so on. But it's good to have it. You don't have to have a very fancy website. Mine, it's a WordPress. It's not even a React or something, but just to have it. So you can send your clients there. They can see. And another thing you might hear from clients, oh, but I find somebody in Fiverr or so my answer to that, because you have to be ready, you will receive those. My answer to that is, okay, I totally understand. You have your budget and you have to go with your budget. For me, this is the price, and is because I have costs, just like you have expenses for your business, I have for my business, and I have to provide for myself health insurance. You don't have to give all of these explanations, but the point is that how a business, they as a business have expenses. I have myself expenses. I took in consideration everything, and this is the price. So. And
okay, and I want to give you about a minute. You have about a minute left, a minute or two. The last question was, what is your approach to preparing for technical interviews?
So for technical interviews, keep in mind that there is like HackerRank, Codors, and things like this. There are websites, and many times even employers will give you a link to one of those for your one of your interviews. So you can start to get to prepare yourself using those. And also what I would suggest, if you have time, I didn't follow this year the curriculum that you did. Also the algorithms and data structures, you will find employers that still require them, even if you will not ever use them in your work. But I think it's a way to differentiate from the big pool. So I know that Freecode Camp has a good section that you can um, prepare yourself, and there are other online free courses that you can take, and I really suggest you prepare for those, because they might be that the little droplet that will be on your favor.
Well, Linda, thank you so much. We want to thank you for your time. We want to thank you for your energy. And we want to thank you for your never-ending support for the Careers in Code program. For more information about Linda, please see your Slack channel. I have included some links to some articles about her. You have her website in front of you, linda-kovacs.com. And yeah, let's just give her a big thumbs up, some reactions in the Slack classroom. Linda, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I wish you all good luck. And remember to share with all your classmates your successes, and let's celebrate your success.
Yes, and I consider Linda a personal friend. We don't see each other all the time, but we do run into each other through Slack quite often. So without further ado, once again, thank you, Linda. And next on deck is Miss Anissa Hussein, who's going to lead week number 23, module 12 in cybersecurity. Thank you so much. You all have a good night.
Awesome. Hi, thank you, Dana, for the introduction. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So since I know you guys have you're at the end of the cohort, I know that, but this is my first time meeting you. So before I kind of go into my spiel and, you know, tell you guys about myself while I'm getting my slides up, if I could have volunteers to go around the room, and I'm going to be realistic, I'm probably going to call on everyone. So this is probably not an optional thing, because, and when I say probably, this is not an optional thing, because I want you all to just tell me who you are. And the bare minimum you have to say is your name. You can tell me anything else that you want. So I'm going to share my screen. But do I have any volunteers in the meantime to go first?
I can go.
Go ahead.
This is Latonia. My first name is Latonia Matrice, but it's usually shortened down to just Latonia. Yeah, so I didn't come from a coding background, just very, very minimum stuff. But I was working with templates, doing like WordPress, Wix, GoDaddy, you know, all that kind of stuff for people. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks. Welcome. Okay, cool. So I'm sorry, Latonia, I put this up right after you went. So if you want to add anything, you totally can. But I just really want to know about you all, because this is the end of your boot camp, right? I'm kind of the last module for you guys. So not only are we going to be touching cybersecurity basics and getting into securing your application and everything there, we're also going to be talking about how to loop in everything you learned in the first 11 modules and how to secure all of that, and really learn those fundamentals. That's why we're here, right? We're learning those basic attainable fundamentals so you can really implement them throughout your life in a very real life attainable way. So when you guys are all introducing yourself to me, really keep in mind your goals of this boot camp. What about cybersecurity intrigues you, excites you, or confuses you? Anything like that, share it. And anything about me you'd like to know, like, hey, I'm a big person. I like to use the chat. You're never going to really hear from me verbally, but you'll always hear from me in the chat. Totally cool. Let me know that. If you are a really competitive person like myself, let me know that, because when we do some group little activities, that could be your time to shine. Anyway, I'll stop talking, but let's continue going on the room, listening to a little about yourselves, and then I'll tell you about myself, and then we'll get started. So thank you, Latonia, for kicking it off. Who would like to go next? I'm going to call on people. I'm going to go alphabetically. If anything you need to know about me is I'm always going to start running down the alphabetical list, because these are the easy questions to answer, guys. These are the low-hanging fruit. I'm not asking you about cybersecurity attack vectors, because then fine, don't raise your hand. I get it. But if I'm asking you, just tell me a couple things about yourself, please. Volunteer. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Hi, Anissa. This is Shah.
Hey.
Can I go next?
Go ahead, please.
Oh, thank you. So my name is Shah. My background is basically in project management and some consulting work. My goal of the bootcamp is to learn the skills or the frameworks or languages for full stack and end up working as a software engineer. That's my goal for the next few years. And obviously move forward after that. What really interests me about cybersecurity is understanding how security works, different pieces. That's really something that I'm very curious about. So yeah, I work part-time with a small business in Syracuse. I manage their databases there for a few databases, including Salesforce and some others. Thank you.
No, that's awesome. So we're going to be talking a lot about like SQL attacks and database security. So I think that'll be a part that'll intrigue you, Shah. So thanks for sharing. Okay. Cool. Who'd like to go next?
Hi, Anissa.
Oh, okay. Who just, yeah, go ahead. Brielle and then Dominique. Nice. I love it. I love when I have more volunteers than I can handle. It's great.
Yes, so I'm Brielle, and my goal is to start a new career. And I am very interested in the cybersecurity. I hear so much about it in the news, and I really do not understand it at all. So, because it feels like it really is, everyone has to know enough about it. It's not just big companies, right? They target everyone.
Yep.
So.
For sure. That's great. And I'm going to just touch off that as well, what we're going to talk about, but I'll say it now as well. The biggest link, the biggest, weakest link in cybersecurity is me and you. That's the human being. It's not the computer. Computers don't decide they're going to attack each other. Okay. A human is behind that attack. And then who's there to defend it? Not a computer. The human needs to tell the computer what to do to defend it. So think about that when we're talking about this stuff. So thanks for bringing that up, Brielle. That's great. I think Dominique was next, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, I'm Dominique Nguyen. My ultimate goal is to be a UI UX developer. I have a designing background. I used to work for Budweiser as their graphic designer for about 5 years. Went into healthcare, so I'm pretty much trying to return back to designing, but I'm in an aspect of pretty much coding onto that. And what am I? Cyber. Yeah, it's security, so it should be pretty interesting. That's about it.
Cool, love it, thanks. And I agree with you. I mean, I might be biased, but I think security is super interesting and you learn something new every day and everything's changing. So, but I could be very biased in saying that, but I agree. Who would like to go next?
Go.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I am Fabiana Barrett-Wynn. I have a background in the visual arts and graphic design, and I'm taking this course to add to my skill set in coding. I have no coding background. And I'm interested in cybersecurity, but know very little about it.
Great. Well, that's why you're here, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Love it. Who's next?
I can go.
Okay, thanks.
So my name is Kyle, and I've been working for like 15 years as an office manager, but my background is in linguistics, and my goal for the boot camp would be a full-time job in coding, and eventually, hopefully, to combine my interest and skills in languages with my coding skills. And in terms of what interests me in cybersecurity, yeah, I don't really know yet, but I'm sure things will intrigue me as we go along, over the next week, and I will definitely ask questions. So
great. No, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Love it. Thank you. All right, I'm just gonna go down my list of who's next on my squares. So Brandi, you're next.
Yeah, so I'm Brandi.
Hello.
My ultimate goal is a career. I don't have a specific title yet, but a career is definitely the goal.
Love it. That's a goal.
Cybersecurity is very interesting to me. It feels like a puzzle. I'd love to unwrap it.
Love it. Great. Mel, you are next on my list of squares.
Hey, I'm Mel. My background is in education, but I've also worked in manufacturing as a technical writer as well. My goal for this program is just to, find a career in tech and, eventually, have a startup. So that's where I'm at right now.
That's great. Awesome. Who has not gone? Okay, Sarah.
Hey, Anissa. I'm Sarah. I'm a baker right now. So the ultimate goal I have is to learn as much as I can and change careers after. And as far as cybersecurity, I'm super thrilled to learn anything I can about protecting myself and whatever company I might be working for.
Of course. Awesome. Cool. We've got Jahil and then Carolyn. You're up next on deck. And tell me if I'm pronouncing anyone's name incorrectly. I should have said that in the beginning, but because I have a very unique name, so tell me if I'm mispronouncing yours. Jahil, you might be on mute if you are saying something.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't look like he's on mute, but for some reason we can't hear him.
It's fine. We'll move on. So Carolyn and then Karen, you're next.
Hi, I'm Carolyn. I am a displaced older worker with a background in library and information from the iSchool at SU, looking to reinvent myself and get into the field of technology, computer programming, etc. Cybersecurity intrigues me more and more every day, like someone else, and it's always in the news and everything. I know someone that kind of works in that area, and I don't know, I'm thinking that might be something I want to think about looking into the skills for and maybe going into that for my career. I'm not sure yet, but yeah, so that's me. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, thank you.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello.
Hi. Hi, who's that? Is that Jahil?
Yeah, okay.
Hello.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, so hi, I'm Jael. The
Hello.
guy that thank you for speaking to everyone and Jael.
No worries. It's all good.
All right. Yeah, so a little bit about myself is currently I'm a solar installer, but I had some experience with coding a little bit. I want to sharpen my skills so I can start, I guess, at the very least a side business maybe, or be a freelancer or something like that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Love it. All right, I think it's just Susan and Karen left. So whoever would like to go first, go ahead.
I'll go. I'm Susan.
Hi.
Probably my ultimate goal is just to learn some new skills, because I've come from a like zero tech background. My work life has been mostly restaurants and bars with mostly front of house positions like bartending and catering and all that. So just to have new skills that I can apply either in a tech, junior developer position or something adjacent to it would be fine. I'm definitely intrigued for this week. I really kind of feel like I don't know that much about the ins and outs of cybersecurity, only kind of the media headlines and movies, which is always sort of fantastical. So I'm excited to hear about what it really is from a working professional.
Totally. Great, thanks. And Karen, last but definitely not least. If not, it's fine. There could be some audio issues. Okay, cool. So thank you all I know that can be really annoying, and I know we're all over it. We're all over the introductions and saying hello and everything like that, I know. But from a virtual perspective, from a classroom perspective, I think it's needed. One, for me to know who you are, and two, for you all to know who each other are. Because like Linda said, you are going to be your ultimate support, especially. And when I'm speaking here, remember, I'm a cyber professional, so I'll talk to you about myself, but when I'm saying things to you guys, just think about it in a very cyber focused arena. Okay. So if you're in this group with 17, however 15 of you, you're learning cybersecurity, and there are some issues that you're having or some topics, you're like, what the heck is Anissa saying? I have no idea what she's even saying. Talk to each other about it. Be like, hey, Brandi, do you even know what this girl is saying right now? Or help me. You have some time after dinner. Let's talk about it. That's the only way you're going to get it. You're not going to get it by dwelling on it for hours on your own. I mean, maybe you would after 10 hours later, but like Linda was saying, use that support for the successes, but also the failures, and not the failures like, hey, guess what? Got fired yesterday. What's up? No, you're going to talk to your support system about, hey, I'm kind of low in these skills. Maybe we can practice them together. Hey, I heard Linda in class, she said to make a website about freelancing stuff. I don't know. You want to figure out WordPress? Let's try that. Bang it out in 8 hours one day. Let's just make a website. I don't know. Find these technical friends and this support system. It's really going to help you, one, increase your skill set, but two, get jobs down the line. I promise you, it will help you get jobs down the line because that person is going to vouch for you. For example, I've never met Linda in person, never met her, but I knew she was going to be speaking tonight. And I'm like, I know Linda, she always has great things to say. We've crossed paths only in a career area. And I will have nothing negative to say about her. I will refer her anywhere she wants to. I'll write a letter of recommendation if she needs it. I seriously mean that, because she is, I trust her. I can vouch for her because we've worked on those volunteer things together. We've never worked on a paid project together. It's always just these guest speaking things, these little one-on-one events we attend. We're there. Hey, what's up? Those little free ways to make those connections, utilize them. So that's why I went through that painstaking process of everyone getting to know each other. So now y'all know what about cyber intrigues you all, some initial goals, so you can have an icebreaker to talk to each other later. You're welcome for that. All right, so about myself, I'm a cybersecurity copywriter at Kiavi Data. So I'll backtrack. I have a technical degree in cybersecurity and communications. So I declared my major in cybersecurity, but I minored in communications because I always wanted to keep that human aspect of technology always in the forefront, right? Because like I said in the beginning, computers don't talk to each other. Humans program those computers to talk to each other. Remember that. There's always a human behind it. Who's teaching those humans? How are those humans learning? How are those humans getting tested, getting better, right? That's why security is there, to really harden those practices, make sure we're good to go on all fronts, we're covered. Anyway, so I currently am a copywriter at a cybersecurity startup called Kiavi Data. They're based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, but our whole team is remote, so I've never met any of my coworkers. But it's really wonderful. I've been there for about 6 or 7 months now, and it's really great for me to be able to work my full time and have that, but also work on my passion projects and be able to freelance, be able to mentor, be able to instruct like I am here, and have time to do other things, which is very important to me. I'm a huge advocate for bridging the gender gap within the tech sector, and the minority gap within the tech sector. So one thing you need to know about me is I'm never going to be afraid to talk about that, ever. I have turned down speaking opportunities before because organizations are like, oh, we don't really like to talk about, ethnicity in technology and whatever. Sorry, I need to talk about that because technology is filled with 75% Caucasian males, right? So how are we going to mitigate that? We got to talk about it to work past it. We can't pretend like it doesn't exist, because it does. So there's a gender gap in technology, there's a minority gap in technology. So I'm a huge advocate for trying to bridge those two areas and really working however I can to speak to minority organizations, to speak to female only organizations, which led me to open up the Girls Who Code chapter here in the Capital Region. So we never had a Girls Who Code chapter here before. They started up chapters in various areas in Albany, and they just, only lasted for a month or whatever. So I was like, this is a great opportunity. I want girls to learn programming. So started that in 2019, which was really great. We learned Python, we learned HTML, and it just really goes to show, like, I'm telling you, I taught 3rd graders how to use Python, and they were working with 11th graders. And I would make 11th graders and 3rd graders work in the same group. And I would make an 11th grader ask a 3rd grader for help. And imagine that, like, humbling experience. And there was no type of, well, I'm better than you, so you better, like, come to me for help. Nope. It was just, we're all on equal playing field right now. Doesn't matter where we're from, what school we go to, what city we live in. We're here to learn Python. That's why we're here. And we're going to learn Python. So that is really kind of about me in a nutshell. I also have my own blog where I write about, like, technology issues. I honestly haven't updated it in quite some time. But I like to write when I do have spare time. But my website is my really long handle. It's my name with 5 E's. So that's usually where you can find me on all social media. But okay, that was a mouthful, but I wanted to tell you a little about myself before I got into anything. Any questions about me, background, anything like that? Come at me, because I made you guys all talk. So please ask me anything. I'm an open book. Ask me whatever you want. If not, we'll just go ahead and get started. So I'll open it up for questions.
Can you send your slides if they're accessible to students?
Oh, yes, sure. I'll share it on the next break. Actually, I just want to remove some things, and then I'll share it on the next break.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Actually, that's a really good segue. So before, I know a lot of people have been speaking, and I want to give you a little break because I know we started at 5:30. So we'll take a good 10-minute break now. Let's do 13 minutes. So we'll get back at 6:40. And then we'll just go into what we're going to cover this week, any questions there, and then start getting into attack vectors. So see you guys back here, 6:40. All right, sorry about that, guys. I'm just trying to get a read-only version of the slides to send to Caitlin, so I'll do that within the next 10 minutes so you guys can have something to follow along. Sorry about that, that's my bad. Okay, so let's get right back into it. So what we're going to do, actually, can you all see my screen? Yes, all right, I'm just going to unshare for a second. Okay. Present review. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do in this module. So we only have 4 days together. Obviously, that's a short time to kind of go over everything within cybersecurity. So I've kind of broken it up. Tonight, we're going to cover attack vectors and like kind of the top attack vectors for web applications. So you can directly connect that to your capstone project or anything real life that you're doing at the moment. And that's going to kind of fall under the basics category. Tomorrow and Wednesday, we're going to be talking about the defense controls. So today we're talking about attacking, really being on the, the RAR, and then being on the defense side, on the other side of that, how do you, prevent that from happening again? How do you prevent that from happening at all? How do you secure your system, secure yourself, FYI? So I like to talk about the attacks first before I talk about the protections, because if you don't know what the attack looks like, how do you know how to protect it? You're never going to know. You no matter what you say, you cannot protect what you don't know, right? So we're going to go through all of those areas that I hope that you'll remember, and you don't have to remember them all, but at least you'll take notes. At least you'll hear the terms, right? So you'll know, oh, wow, that's a SQL injection. All right, that's what that looks like. This is what I need to do. If you don't know what it is, you don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, right? So we have to be able to call it something so we can defend against it. And then we're going to put the attacks and the defense together on Thursday, and we're going to talk about web application security and the beginning of automated web testing. So that's really just going to show you a nice little snippet in how you can secure your web application. We're going to kind of dive into what your capstone projects look like and really how can you apply security protocols to your specific projects. We're going to really go through that on Thursday. So it'll really bring everything full circle, which will be really nice for you. Also, I do want to say that I'm always going to be touching on careers within cybersecurity. So each time I bring up a new topic, each time I talk about something, I'm either going to talk about my personal experience in that area, talk about someone I know in that area, or what a career looks like in that area. I'm always going to be very straight up with you about what that looks like, what experience you need, if it's entry level, if you need a couple more years of experience, etc. Any questions about topics that we're going to cover this week? Any questions about this stuff before I go into expectations and things like that?
This is Latonia. I'm just curious if all of the resources are defensive. Are there any that are considered more proactive, or is it just the nature of that kind of beast that it has to be defensive?
Very, very good question. And controls are created so that they should be proactive, right? Unfortunately, the industry is such where no one wants to do anything until they get hacked. So that's why it naturally is defensive, right? But it should be proactive. The controls are there, whether you get hacked or not. You have to implement those controls. They should be, ideally, in a perfect world, they should be proactive. No one ever wants to spend money, especially, small businesses, you've got a certain budget to work with, right? You're not going to want to drop 10 grand on a security program where you could use that in inventory or whatever for your company. Unless you get hacked, then now you kind of have to, right? So great question. Love that. Supposed to be proactive, but because of the nature, they happen to be defensive, but the goal is proactivity. Other questions about any of our contents before we go on? Okay. Verbally, I'm just going to tell you that a few expectations I have. One, which you probably got in the first couple minutes of class. If I ask a question, there are about 15 of you here, I'm going to expect one person to answer. If I don't hear an answer for someone, I will sit here. We will sit in silence. We're a room of adults. So if I say, hey, anyone have any feedback? Anyone have any answers? And no one has anything, that's cool. We will sit here. I've done it before. It's very uncomfortable. I think the max I've allowed it to happen was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And if you think I'm kidding, ask my students. And they were adult students, not kids. So we're all grown adults here. If I ask a question, please answer it. And if you don't know the answer, say, hey, I have no idea. Please, can you tell me? That's totally fine. But say something, because otherwise, I don't know what's going on. That's one rule I have. Second rule I have, respect everyone. That's always a thing. Don't ever judge someone for not knowing something, because I guarantee they know something that you don't know. And I won't ever tolerate it. So whether that's in the chat, whether that's verbally. So on the flip side of that, always ask any questions. There is no stupid question, because I want you to be able to clear it up. Be like, if I use an acronym that you have no idea what that means, simply ask me, oh my God, what does that mean? And I'll be, oh shoot, I should have said that. And I'll say it, right? Because I've been doing this for many years. Things kind of come naturally to me. Think about things that you do. Sarah said she's a baker, right? So natural things like that, like baking times and Fahrenheit and cups to ounces conversions, that might be natural to her, not to me, right? So, and I would ask her, hey, what's the ounce to pound conversion? Whatever. So that being said, always ask me questions and always pop them in the chat, because Caitlin is going to be my girl to let me know what questions are there and interrupt me with what you guys have. Okay, any questions about my expectations before we finally get into the meat and potatoes? Any other questions? Going once. Going twice. Cool. All right. Cybersecurity. I love starting out with a textbook definition, because this is how people find out what something is. If someone has no idea what cybersecurity is, you Google it, what is cybersecurity? And this is what's going to come up, a culmination of all of those things, okay? I like to start out by saying cybersecurity is different than information security. They all are in the same bracket of security, yes, but they are two different realms, okay? We're going to talk about the difference, but cybersecurity is really talking about how to protect the data when it's been attacked. Information security is how do we prevent information from being attacked. So information security is very proactive, like Latonia's question was earlier. Cybersecurity is very reactive, like, oh God, we've been hacked. What do we do? Information security is like, all right, we've got a bunch of health information in our healthcare organization. How do we make sure that no one hacks into that, right? Those are those two differences. What do you think about that? Think about that when you're thinking about applying for jobs as well. I urge you to explore the differences. There is a very clear difference between cybersecurity analyst, information security analyst, okay? Some routes, I think, in my personal opinion, cybersecurity analysts usually require maybe 6 months more experience than information security does, because it's a tad more technical, because it is defensive. You've got to help someone who's been hacked, right? It's a lot more pressure than just that protection. So think about that. So like we just said, though, no matter what type of security you're doing, it's the protection of that computer system and the network from any theft or breach or touching unwillingly to that data, okay? So you are protecting data. That's your goal. When you think cybersecurity, you need to be thinking data. So right now, what should be running through your head are the modules 1 through 11 that you did in this cohort. And you're thinking, okay, we did databases. How does that deal with security? How can I secure my databases? Okay, we talked about REST APIs. What does security have to do with APIs? All right, we talked about HTTP. What does that mean? We talked about HTML. How can I these should be running through your head right now, okay? Because it all leads back to security. Why? Because it all needs to be secured, okay? All of it is holding data, accepting data, housing data, or it is data. And that's why it needs to be secured. So I'm not saying that to toot my own horn because I work in cybersecurity. No, I'm saying that because any data needs to be protected. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you know, it's just me and pictures of me and my house on Instagram. Why do I need to be private? Like, why do I need to lock that down? Who cares? Like, I don't care if people see what my living room looks like. I don't care, right? Let me tell you that there are people who do care, and there are people who manipulate that in a very negative way. So I'm going to touch back on a personal experience of mine where I had to work with something called digital forensics. And that is exactly what it sounds like. So it's forensics, so that investigative work with digital entities, right? So I had to investigate hard drives to find out how people got in, how people broke in, how they put an attack on there, whatever. So one time, my biggest case there that actually went up to litigation, we had to go through court. It was a child pornography case. An instructor at a college was viewing child pornography videos during a work time on his work computer. Does that make any sense? No, but he was doing that. Denied that he was ever doing it, even though there was like, you know, tons of history and tons of recollection there. So there was no question about it. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is the content of things that he was viewing and talking about was simple things like a mom posting a video of their little girl swimming in a pool on a summer day. Okay? And I mean that seriously, not to turn you away, not to gross anyone out. I'm being realistic because there are gross people out there who exploit data and sell that crap and sell that, and people view that for pleasure. And a mom was just posting a nice summer day of her daughter swimming with her cousins and probably wanted to upload it and share it with her friends, like everyone does, right? There are people I follow on Instagram who post pictures of their little babies who are not wearing any clothing. And it's just like, I get it. Your baby is adorable. I understand that. But there are people who are going to use that maliciously. Okay. So now that we're talking about cybersecurity, I need you to put on this investigative mindset. You got to start thinking about the negatives. Whatever you do online with your data, with anyone's data, start thinking, oh, shoot, how can someone break into this? Okay. You log into your online bank. Everyone does this every day, I assume. Okay. When was the last time you changed your password for your online banking account? Right? If that password is the same as a password for 50 other things that you're doing, and you haven't changed that in 3 years, right? Do the math. How many passwords do you have that's the same? How exponentially greater does that make the chances of someone guessing it? It makes the chances very exponentially greater, right? Than if you were to just change that a little more often, right? So again, I know I'm getting into the weeds and I'm going to bring it back, but I just want, when we're talking about these cyber topics this entire week, I need you to get into this analytical mindset. Really think about the negatives. I need you to play devil's advocate, okay? That's what security is, because you got to protect it. And by protecting, you need to know how people can break in, because you need to prevent them from breaking in. And to know how people break in, you need to know how breaking in happens. So that's how this cycle works. So I need you to get into that mindset. Questions on this before we move on?
I don't see anything in chat.
Okay, cool. We talked about this, but I like to have it on its own slide because it's that important. The weakest link within cybersecurity is humans, okay? Now, one thing, this is a known fact within cybersecurity. Can someone tell me why? Why does this statement make sense in your opinion? Or why does it not make sense? Someone share your thoughts.
Susan said because humans make mistakes. Dominique said errors human. Shah
Is it
said,
because like, sorry,
no, go ahead, Jihyo.
we make like really weak passwords, so that's what kind of makes us the weakest link.
That's exactly correct as well. But you guys, all three of you and whoever else said it, you nailed it, right? That's because humans make mistakes. We're going to go into a phishing exercise in a second, and we'll talk about phishing and what that is. But that's the prime target, right? Of someone sending something to you and you think, oh no, this is totally fine. Let me click on it. It makes sense, right? Oh shoot, shouldn't have clicked on that, or clicking too fast or whatever, right? You're always the problem. We are always the problem. It's not the computer who clicked on the link, unfortunately. I know we love to blame the computer, but it's us. Dominique, I saw your hand was up.
Yeah, but I'll ask that question later. It was more so on before you said something about like a mentorship. So
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah, we can say that for the end, but remember your question and ask at the end, okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so first, I'm going to show a video on phishing, and then I'm going to give kind of my definition, but I liked for you to hear it from someone else first. So this is a quick, I think, 2.5-minute video on what phishing is, and then we'll go into it, okay? Hold on a sec. Let's hope this loads.
Ever gotten a suspicious email asking for a bank account number?
Hold on.
Yes, I have, like, all the time.
Well, you will get a kick out of tonight's class then.
Ever gotten a suspicious
Oh my gosh.
email asking for a bank account number? Avoid voicemail, warning of identity theft, or an offer
Hold on, let me try to lower the quality.
on social media that seemed too good to be.
Third time.
Ever gotten a suspicious email asking for a bank account number? A voicemail, warning of identity theft, or an offer on social media that seemed too good to be true? These are all classic forms of phishing, or a way to steal personal information under the guise of reputable sources, like your bank, a friend, or a trusted online service. Most modern phishing attacks work to distribute malicious links or attachments, typically over email, which the attacker hopes the victim will click or download, giving the attacker access to personal information, login credentials, or even finances. Phishing is popular among cyber criminals because they can target millions of potential victims at a time, and it's much easier to trick someone into opening a link than it is to break through a computer's defenses. Attackers can turn to social media and other public information sources to craft personalized phishing attacks, making the emails and messages seem legit. Attackers can also mask messages to make it seem like they're coming from a friend's Facebook account. The messages could even address the potential victim by name or name something specific from their browsing history to make it seem more trustworthy. Now, despite their growing sophistication, there are still several common indicators that tip off phishing attacks. These include misspelled or suspicious URLs, supposed corporate messages from a Gmail or public email address, a sense of fear or urgency involved in the message, an unprompted request to verify personal information, like financial details, and poor writing with spelling and grammatical errors. Recognizing phishing attempts and avoiding suspicious messages is crucial, as is installing security layers like antivirus software and firewalls, because all it takes is one wrong click.
Awesome. So before we kind of get into that, have any of you experienced or received a phishing attempt? Raise your hand either visually or with the thing, and everyone should be raising their hand because I know for a fact this has happened to everybody. Cool. Anyone want to share any specific experiences that happened and how you handled it? Just out of curiosity. No need. I'm just curious.
I'll go.
Yeah, cool. Please.
I had somebody spend over $500 on Fashion Nova while I was at the Westcott Street Fair one year. So yeah, that was fun. I don't know how they got that information, but yeah, I'm a lot careful. Like all my passwords are different now. I haven't been hacked in a while, so I guess it's working now. But yeah, that was probably the biggest thing that happened to me. It was fun.
Yeah, and the thing is too, not only like, especially with banking, like Dominique just said, not only do they get into your banking information, because there's two parts, right? There's the logging in. So they're able to see your information. So save your checking account number. They know your password. They can take a look at your purchases, get a look at what you do on a regular basis, learn your habits, which is already weird. But then they can also use that and transfer money out, transfer money in, create a bunch of triggers to make it look fraudulent, right? And do all of this stuff. So there's two parts there. So, and imagine that a simple password change could potentially prevent both of those things from happening, right? Or if you have a super complicated password that I know they're annoying, right? You have those extra characters. How do you remember them? Blah, blah, blah. It's fine. We remembered Pythagorean's theorem. We all memorized pi in school for a candy bar, because I know I did. I know we memorized our like 12 times tables and to get like a king size candy bar. I did that too. So you can memorize a long password that will keep you secure. And if you can't, that's okay, because there's something like LastPass or Dashlane or 1Password, which are these password safety tools that you can create one password, which is your master password. And then that's kind of a creation for a vault. So you're able to save all of these accounts, your passwords in there, and you don't have to remember them, because all you have to do is remember that big, long master password. And then you log in, you can see hundreds of your other passwords without ever having to remember them. So I don't ever want to hear the excuse of, oh, but what am I going to do? I just told you what to do. So I'll share the links with you, and there you go. All right. But back to phishing. Any other questions with phishing before we kind of do an exercise on it?
I'm just curious. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go, Latonia. No.
Okay. Latonia and then Brielle.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Brielle. I'm just curious if they can get anything from a simple click. Like I used to click on the email, put it into spam, or call it. I always get confused about spam versus phishing. I would just try to do both and delete them. And now I just don't even do that because I don't want to trigger anything. So I just delete them. I'm just curious if even just clicking on it will do anything.
Good question. So I will say 99% of the time, clicking on it will not do anything. Simply clicking on it, which again, depends on what your browser looks like and your mail settings are, because clicking on it is not the same as double clicking on it. Double clicking on an email is opening an email. Clicking on an email is previewing the contents of that email. Okay, so like let's say if you have a MacBook, on the Mail app, if you were to double click an email, it opens it up in a new window. That is not just clicking on the email. You have opened the email in another window, right? So you're triggering whatever attack that attacker wanted. Upon opening, you've done that already. However, if you're just clicking on an email to simply view the contents or dragging it over somewhere, you have not opened it. You see what I mean? You haven't opened and unlocked the contents. You're simply just in that view state. However, it's a very good practice to, if it's a personal phishing email that you receive, block that sender and delete the email. That's great practice if you're at work. Usually organizations have policies. Figure out what those policies are. And I will tell you 99% of the time, it's never just deleting the email. You usually have to forward it to the security team because they want to analyze it. I've been on the security team before. I get mad when people don't send it to me and they're like, hey, I got a phishing email, but I deleted it. Well, I can't do I have no idea what it looked like or who it came from. Like, I need something, right? So if it's at work, do whatever your company's policy is. If there is no policy, ask the security team. If there is no security team, then delete it. But, you know, follow those steps as you see fit. Thank you for that question, Latonia. Brielle, go ahead.
I wanted to ask about all of the phishing texts. I feel like I get, you know, I end up blocking them, but you know, you have a package from UPS with the weird URL and things like that. Is that a more popular way than emails now?
So it's more popular now than emails because we're opting into so many things with our text, with our phone numbers, our cell phone numbers. So, I mean, and I talk about this to my students all the time. I wish there was a way to input your phone number in some application and see everywhere that you've sent this phone number to receive alerts and just opt out of it in one area. I mean, that would be a godsend, right? Because I've had the same number since I ever got my first cell phone for over 15 years now. So who knows how many thousands of places I've inputted my phone number, right? So yeah, to answer your question, it's happening much more mobile now because we're just entering that more, and we've had our phones for longer. We've had these numbers for longer. It's just becoming a more regular form. So the more regular the form, the more people attack it. That's the reality, which is unfortunate, but great question. What other questions we got, if any? All righty, well, interrupt me if there are any. Oh, let me pause this. Okay. So phishing, by definition, it's the fraudulent attempt to get sensitive information by disguising yourself as if you should be getting that information, but you should not be, okay? That's as simple as it is, okay? It's fraud, it's a scam, so spam is different. Spam is like equivalent to junk mail. Like, okay, so that you're just on a mass sending list that's sent to you, whatever. Phishing, especially targeting phishing emails, are very specific to a specific demographic, like middle-aged white women, young Black males, right? Specific emails to target a specific demographic. Women in technology pursuing a degree here. Women in upstate New York, part of a coding, some connection to something coding, right? Something like that, because it's gotta be something that's relevant to you. If I have never once attended, you know, a sewing event ever in my life, and I got something about, you know, thread and needles, obviously I'm going to know it's fake. I've never ever touched anything sewing, right? But if I see something like, oh, food account, blah, 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 take photos of food. I love doing that kind of thing. So I'd be like, oh my God, really? That's awesome. Maybe I would click on it, right? You've got to have that personal interest. Again, linking back to the human. Phishing attacks are much more effective when they are personalized. They're not personalized to the computer. It's not like, oh, HP, I love my HP. Let me talk about HP in the email and that'll get Kyle to click on it. No, Kyle doesn't care. Kyle is going to click about things that she cares about. And that's a personal thing to Kyle, not her computer, okay? So again, this is linking back to some fraudulent entity fraudulently attempting to get access to completely legitimate, sensitive information and actually succeeding at doing that. All right. 32% of all data breaches involve phishing. Okay. Think about that number. Of all data breaches, of all any sort of attempt to steal data, 1/3 of them happened from phishing, from someone just sending out some mass email and hoping to God someone would click on it because they didn't read through the lines clearly enough, okay? 86% of email attacks do not even contain malware, okay? So think about that. It doesn't have to contain a malicious executable for it to be phishing. It doesn't need to contain an exe file, a DLL file, anything like that to be openable for you to be able to be affected. It could be a URL. It could be an email. You simply click the reply button to send an email back to that person. That triggers some sort of attack on your local machine, right? So I want you to think about these statistics. It's not only malware. Don't think, oh, well, it was a, Emotet executable. What am I going to do about it? No, 86% of the time it's not. It's just because you were not reading carefully and you clicked on it, okay? I was not reading carefully and I've clicked on it before. Let me go back to a personal example. I used to work at CIS, which is Center for Internet Security. If you know CIS, I don't work there anymore, but they house the top 20 critical controls, which are adapted by SANS. So we're going to cover that tomorrow night when we talk about defense mechanisms. But top 20 critical controls are just hardening controls for organizations to literally secure themselves, right? Top 10, top 20 things to do to literally protect your organization. So I was on the CERT, which is Computer Emergency Response Team. We were a very cybersecurity oriented team. So the incident response team, they sent out an internal phishing attack. So they were just testing people in the organization. Who's going to click on this? We know it's happening. No one's going to click on it. Well, guess who clicked on it? My boss. My boss, who was the manager of the cybersecurity team, clicked on it. Why? Because it was a healthcare related phishing email and she happened to be having insurance issues. Literally, it just happened to be that she had health insurance issues like a couple days before. And this email was like, hey, you're at risk of your company benefits at fail. If you don't enter your social security number, just validate it here and you'll be good to go. And we were slammed with cases that week and she clicked on it. And she not only clicked on it and opened it, she actually entered her social security number. Okay. Does that mean she's stupid? No. Does that mean she doesn't know cybersecurity? No. What does it mean? It means that she's a human. She's human. She was having a rough week. She was dealing with health insurance issues. It just happened to be something that she fell victim to and she clicked on it, okay? Thank God it was an attack that it was our team, we held it, so nothing happened to the organization. But had that been an actual attack from an outside attacker, we would have been screwed. Okay, because we are the forensic team of the organization, we would have been screwed. So think about that. It always is down to the human. Like the girl said in that video, it comes down to one click, okay? You can't take back the click. You can't undo the click. If you click on something and something gets downloaded, you guys have gone through, this is your 12th module in careers in code. You know how the back end works when you program something. If you create a button in JavaScript and you've created the prompt when the user clicks that button and they've clicked the button and that action happens, it's going to happen. You can't undo it, okay? So think about that when you're thinking of securing your systems. You guys are the coders for these applications. At the same time, you need to secure your code and secure those applications on the back end and the front end as well. All right, I talked about malware. I didn't give you a definition, so I'm going to hit you with a definition. Malware is any sort of software that's intentionally designed to cause damage. Mal in Spanish means bad. It's just negative. No one can ever tell you, oh, it's good malware. I know, I promise you it's good. By nature, it's negative. It's not there to help you. So don't fall victim to it. It's negative. It's harmful. that it's damaging. That's the point, okay? Going back to the original 3 letters of the word mal in Spanish, that means bad. So that wasn't created, that for this word wasn't called that on accident, okay? So when you think malware, you need to be thinking, uh-oh, that's a bad thing. How can I protect this? How can I defend against it? 38% of untrained users fail phishing campaigns, okay? What does this one statistic tell you? What do you think that you can implement to prevent this one statistic from happening? If 38% of untrained users fail a phishing campaign, what can we do? Kyle, you said something and you're on mute, and I think I loved what you said.
Train them.
Wow. No brainer. Beautiful. Train them. Okay. Again, people are not brought out of this world living and breathing cybersecurity. No, we're not expecting anyone to breathe it, right? So that's why we have training programs in place, okay? If you're at an organization and let's say you join a security team and you see that there's no security training for that organization, maybe suggest it. Hey, boss, I think we should have some sort of training in place because I see a lot of people are clicking on phishing emails. Or I was talking to Linda in the break room one day. She had no idea what malware was. I think we should have a little workshop explain to people. I think people would benefit from it. No one's going to tell you, nope, Caitlin, that is such a horrible idea. How dare you? No one's going to say that to you. Someone's going to be like, great, that's wonderful. Let's do it. So again, little tidbits how, one, you can make yourself more secure, you can make your company more secure, and that's just getting you good graces with your boss because you're being innovative. You're one, outlining a problem, but you're two, outlining a solution. So you're not only crap talking, oh wow, you guys don't have training. Hey, I will volunteer to put a slide deck together for you because I took this little 1 week of training with this weirdo Anissa. She taught me some tips. Let me put some slides together. I got you. I got this, right? You could do that. You could fully well do it, right? But it's you as a human. You've got to train other humans, right? If you see, I do this, I like to tell you, think about your parents or your grandparents, right? Take 2 seconds to just think about that. I just got my grandma on Facebook like last year. I know for a fact she has not changed her password since the day I made it for her. And me and all my cousins know what the password is, and she has it written down on her fridge, okay? So that's not changing anytime soon because she doesn't want to have to remember anything else. And I'm never going to convince her to get LastPass. I've already accepted that. So think about that, right? There's an entire population of technology users that exist that don't have that security training and maybe don't have the patience or maybe don't have the will or don't have the time or don't even want to learn technology, so they don't care to even stay secured, right? So that's where training comes into place. Computers don't create training. I'll tell you that right now. Humans create the training, right? So again, I started with telling you that humans are the weakest link, and I want you to understand that I'm going to hit this point home every chance that I get. Humans are the center of cybersecurity, right? We need to train other humans. That's the point here. And lastly, for our facts, 90% of phishing scams are discovered in secure email gateways, okay? So you've probably touched on this perhaps in a module earlier in the boot camp, but you probably touched on gateways, or you at least know what a gateway is. It's that little separator between the internet and a workstation. If you've got a secure email gateway in place, 90% of phishing scams are caught in that, okay? That's a high statistic. So let's say you're an organization and you're seeing, oh wow, 60% of my users are falling victim to a phishing attack every week. I can't deal with all of this data loss. What do I do? This is your way to go, okay? a quick implementation of a secure email gateway, that's going to catch all of that right off the bat. You don't have to worry about training the users and explaining to people right away, at least, because that takes time. You can implement that secure gateway, catch 90% of those initial scams, and then at least you have less to work with. So now you can roll out your training program, and that makes sense to work chronologically that way. But again, I told you that I'm going to connect all of your 11 modules to security, and I want you guys to hold me to it, okay? Because you talked about gateways, you probably talked about firewall, I know you talked about all this stuff. It needs to be locked down. And why does it need to be locked down? Because it prevents attacks from happening. The attacks are always going to happen once the technology is there. And if the technology is there and humans are using the technology, we've got to lock it down. We've got to secure it. Okay, that was a mouthful. Questions before we move on? I know there's like 30 messages in the chat and I'm not looking at them, but I know Caitlin is going to stop me if anything.
I'm trying to keep up.
Oh, you're good. I'll take a couple minutes and scroll through.
There's a lot of comments, but
okay, cool.
Questions. I also, do you have any statistics on how many trained users fail phishing campaigns? I don't know if that was old though.
Oh, trained users. Good question. I do not have any off the top of my head. That's a great question. I'm actually curious now. On our next break, I'm going to try to look into that, and maybe I'll see if there's a statistic out there.
I mean, I guess it also depends on like the kind of training, how successful it is, how often they're trained or reminded or whatever. All those things probably factor into it. But
correct, exactly. And that's another great thing I'll touch on while Caitlin's looking through for questions is some people just do a one and done training, right? So like you join a company, you got to go through your routine cybersecurity organization, orientation, you know, the thing that everyone hates. You just check the boxes, no one's paying attention, and then you're good. You check the boxes, you're good for 6 years, right? That shouldn't be the case, okay? There is security and technology that's changing every month, every day. 6 years is not enough to recertify security training, okay? So exactly, it really depends on how often, right? At security organizations, at my current organization right now, we do monthly security trainings because we need to live and breathe security. I mean, we like won top cybersecurity startup, like top 10 cybersecurity startup of the year, which means that might be all sunshine and rainbows, but that means that we're getting attacked a lot more. A lot of people are like, who's Kiavi? Who are these people? Let me try to break in, get access to their information, right? We're getting a lot more attacks. And if our own employees don't know the difference between an attack and what's not an attack, we're giving away precious patented information that we literally have patents pending for right now. We have 11 pending patents. We literally cannot afford to have that information stolen, okay? So it is imperative that everyone in my specific organization go through training once a month, right? But that depends on the needs of other organizations, etc. Yes, and Linda said that too. Now that we're home, we're exposed to more attacks, and that's exactly true because we are living and breathing on some sort of device. If we're on the kitchen on our phone looking at a recipe, we're going over into the living room on Netflix on the smart TV, and then we're popping over into the bedroom and talking to Alexa to turn our lights on, right? We're living in a world of technology. Yes, secure server is like catching flies with honey. And I love that you call that because there is literally something called a honeypot. And it is a security attack that's called a honeypot. And what it is you're literally trying to create a honeypot to lure attackers in so you can catch them. Okay, that's the point of a honeypot. So exactly, the secure server is really just like that initial mesh. It's that catching people. Of course, a few are going to sneak through, right? Of course, but it's catching that bulk, and that's the important thing. Great analogy. I love that, actually. And Jahil, I know I'm a couple minutes late, but I know you said you want to add something to what I'm saying. Can you still add it? Because I'm curious to what you were thinking.
Yeah, so in high school, I tried creating a student IT help desk, and we visited a high school that already had like a system in place because I was like, why try to reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
We went to Bethlehem, New York, or Bethlehem, New York. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm pronouncing it right. And
Yeah.
they have a student help desk, and they told us a story about a quote unquote, I guess, prodigy in a sense where this kid he developed some sort of malware, and it wasn't really just to be malicious. It was just for like, I guess, for fun. You know, like the kids say, memes or whatever. And he ended up making a malware where if you double click it, it makes a copy. So like what he did was like he took an icon of I think Windows Media Player or whatever, and a student intern, I think a college student who was just trying to become a teacher. They were they're on a computer and they had a hard drive connected to one of the computers they were using. But usually when you double click on the program,
Yep.
it was, they were confused like it wasn't working. But when you double clicked it, it would just make a copy of like any directories that branches off and also like within the computers. So what ended up happening was the intern gave the I guess this USB disk drive to an IT person at the school, and then there's like a whole security thing because I guess like when they put the USB drive through,
Wow.
it made a copy. So they're like, oh my goodness, somebody breached our security, but they didn't know what to do. And it turns out like, the kid, he admitted like, oh, I made a mistake, blah, blah, like this is what happened. It wasn't malicious. However, they ended up putting him in handcuffs. And
Wow.
yeah, they also like put it in his record, like his high school record or something like that.
Because it was intentional?
No, it wasn't. Well, I don't know. What they told me essentially, the staff, they're like, it's not, it wasn't intentional, because later on, like the student, he went to he applied to RPI, and they saw that, big, I think I forgot what it was, indictment on his record, and they're like, yeah, no, he's a good kid. He joined our he was one of the first members in our IT student help desk or whatever. He actually helped with security and stuff like that. But like I'm just saying, it kind of reminds me of what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And like how easy it is. Yeah.
And that's great. And to your point too about not only executables and actual files on a system, but to your point, Jahil, about a USB drive, okay, that's a huge vector where folks put malicious files on. You simply plug the USB into any device. Now you've either got that malicious executable on your system, you've got something now either tracking you, you've got whatever if someone put a program on there to track every single key that you're typing, any single body of text that you're entering, so anything you type, name, info, date of birth, messages to people, they're tracking all of that lettering, right, on the back end because you have this USB plugged in. Or they make copies of everything on your hard drive and send them back to themselves or whatever. Exactly like Jahil is saying, keyloggers, right? That there are not only those internal attacks of like email and things that happen on the web and on applications. Think about those physical parts as well. We're going to talk about social engineering and humans and like literally manipulating emotions. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But a role within cybersecurity that I had the privilege of actually being able to freelance and work in a project for is social engineering. And social engineering is exactly what it sounds like, is you're engineering a social situation, okay? So I'm looking at Brandi, I'm like, hey, Brandi, I'm gonna take you for a ride right now. So I'm gonna be like, oh, Brandi, I had the worst day. Like, oh my God, you'll never guess what happened to me, XYZ, right? I'm going to go into this crazy sob story that I literally just made up. Probably start crying, whatever. Get her to somehow let me use her phone. I'm going to be like, hey, I really need to call someone. I'm in a crazy situation. Like, give me your phone, please. Brandi's a nice girl. She's going to be like, hey, I'm concerned for you, Anissa. Sure, let me give me my phone, right? I don't need to use her phone. I wanted to get into her phone so she can unlock it for me. So now I'm in her phone. So now I go into the other room, make my private call. I'm in Brandi's phone. All right. That was a social engineering attack. Okay. I literally manipulated your emotions by putting up this crazy front, had this crazy thing happen to me. You seem like a nice person. So I was like, all right, she seems cool. She seems like bait. I'm going to go for it. Right. I'm obviously not going to go for some stern person who's not smiling, who's obviously I'm probably not going to get much out of them. Right. Again, what am I going to link this back to? Someone say it. What is this linked back to?
So human error.
Humans. That's a human thing, right? It had nothing to do with the computer and not even the phone, because Brandi unlocked her phone and gave it to me. She unlocked it. I didn't even do anything. She literally unlocked her phone. So if I went to go steal information from her and later she were to be like, oh, Anissa took information from me, one, she would have no proof because I would never know her password. So I can prove that I don't know her password. And I can also prove that she was the person who unlocked the phone, and she can attest to that. I didn't touch it. I have no idea what her password is. And I can be like, listen, she unlocked it to give me the phone to make a call. I made the call. I'll make the call. You'll see the call in the call records. Close all the apps that I just grabbed the information from. No one ever has any idea that I was in her messages, pulling information from her messages. I just close right out the app. She has no clue. She took the phone back. Oh, Anissa made a call. Great. She has a good day. She's on her way or whatever, right? Thinking I had a hard day. You did me a favor, right? No, you got it. So this is now you playing devil's advocate. You got to think deeper. Shoot, should I give you my phone right now? Or maybe I could offer another suggestion. Hey, let me give you a couple dollars. Go get a calling card and maybe just use that. I don't know if there's another route here. Or, hey, I actually know there's a public phone in the nearby place. I've used it before. Maybe check that out, right? Offer those suggestions so you don't have to give up your device, your technology. Or I've done this before. Someone asked me to use my phone and it was legitimate. And I was like, sure. But I unlocked the phone. I forced them to make a speaker only call in the same room as me, because I didn't know them. And I was like, I'm not letting you go into another room with my device. This is my life. I have everything on here, my personal, my phone, my work, everything. You're not going into the next room and making a call with my phone, right? Some people are like, oh, but why are you thinking the worst in people? Don't do that. I'm not thinking the worst in people. I'm just thinking about potential attacks and potential risk, okay? My data is on my device. If I give this device to Brielle and she has a malicious intent, my data is now in her hands. I don't want that. Like, whoever would want that? No one wants that. I have like 15,000 photos on here from since 2008. I do not want Brielle seeing my braces and my days so she can put them on the internet. And I know I don't want any of that, right? So anyway, goes back to the human. Now I digress. Let's move on. We're going to do a phishing activity. So I'm going to flip it over to you guys and we're going to try to detect this phishing stuff. Okay. So let's look at this email. Take a couple minutes. Read it, look through it. What are we looking? Does this look like this is from Netflix, not Netflix? What are our thoughts?
The from does not look correct.
From does not look correct. Okay, what else we got? Latonia said funky URL. Correct.
A sense of urgency. When there is something urgent, we always have to think twice. Might be that it's a phishing attack.
Exactly. Sense of urgency. 2 people said misspelled words. Netflix, exactly. Netflix does not.
Center.
You said what, Kyle?
Help Center has the British spelling and Netflix is an American company.
There you go. Good catch. Good catch. Now, something else I will say. And I've worked with immigrants, I've worked with refugees, I've tried to teach cybersecurity to various audiences, as I've told you. This type of analysis and differentiation that we are noticing as American, dwellers, as English speakers, that is not as easy for an immigrant coming into this country to detect, okay? You need to think about this, okay? So when I say, oh, people are just silly and they can't tell the difference between a phishing email and not, I'm talking about English-speaking, American-born and raised people, okay? That we should be able to know the difference between a word that's spelled correctly and not, right? I'm not talking about someone who just moved to the country last year and does not know English. I want to be very clear about that. I will never expect a non-English, sorry, there's a plane going by. I will never expect a non-English speaking person to be able to understand the nuances and the differences, okay? And why am I bringing this up? Because you need to think about this as an analyst, as a trainer, when thinking about implementing user training. User training needs to be accessible to all, not just the top majority. Remember that. So if you're talking to someone about, hey, the from URL doesn't make any sense. If an immigrant has no idea what a URL is, you've lost them. They have no clue what you're even talking about when you say, oh, that's a bad URL, right? So I'm not saying that, you guys are all going to go out and be refugee cybersecurity trainers and you all need to get into this mindset. I'm not saying that. However, I'm saying that in your careers, in your technical careers, remember that there are going to be groups of people who don't know what it is that you're talking about. Explain it to them, right? Assume that these are beginners. Assume that when you are conducting training, they are beginners, right? Treat them as such. Like I started with you guys. Do I think you're stupid and that's why I gave you a definition of what phishing means? No, I don't. It's just, that's the definition, right? We got to start somewhere. That's literally what it's defined as. Let's go from there, right? Okay, so I just wanted to give that little disclaimer. Friends, that's funny. But that was really funny. But exactly, so we talked about urgency, we talked about misspelling, we talked about the from. Another thing that, someone, I think Kyle said center was spelt weird. Yes, help center. The other thing is expiry date. That's another foreign terminology. In America, the term is expiration date, right? You'll never hear an American company say, hey, the expiry date of your account. You'll never hear that, right? So again, it's just really understanding that validity, that like, okay, would a company really say this or no? The other thing I want to say is benefit of the doubt, okay? A lot of times you'll get an email from a company, right? It'll be misspelled. A lot of times I will hear my clients, they'll say this to me. They'll say, oh, but people make mistakes. Like they probably just it was probably an accident. Like I know what they meant to say, right? Like I know what they meant, right? And they don't think about it because they're just like, it was an accident. I trust Netflix. They would never do anything to hurt me. I see the logo. I mean, one spelling error, it's fine, whatever, right? And then you'll go ahead and do it, right? Don't give people the benefit of the doubt, not insecurity, okay? So when I go through and I talk about humans being the weakest link, playing devil's advocate, putting on that investigative cap, I mean it. And I don't mean it in the sense of I need you to think everyone's a horrible person. No, you need to think about the negatives so you can protect yourself, so you can protect your data and your organizations.
I will say, Anissa, if you don't mind, one thing I do when I get stuff like this is I go to the actual website of that service, for example, and just log in. If it doesn't tell me anything when I log in, then there's nothing to worry about. But that's another sure way to know if it is or not, because sometimes it's super hard to figure out if it's legit or not.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing too. Thanks for bringing that up, Caitlin, is just doing that cross-checking, right? So if you're first of all, if you're not even a Netflix user, then this is not even me because I don't have a Netflix account. So don't click on it because I don't even have a Netflix account. But if you do have a Netflix account, here's another thing, right? This says we attempted to authorize the Amex card, the American Express card, right? I personally know I don't have an Amex card. Never have, never did, right? So if I get an email like this, I've never once inputted an Amex card number anywhere. So I know like that will be a triggering thing to me. But as Caitlin said, if you're a Netflix user, go do that cross-checking. Don't click on this link. Go in a browser, log into your Netflix account, go to your account notifications, see if there's something popping up, right? Hey, alert, you need to update your payment information, right? Apps won't let you use the app until your payment information is updated. So they will notify you, as Caitlin said. So if you don't see a notification, it's probably most likely not a legitimate email. So that's a great point. Linda, what's up?
Also, you can hover the link and
we'll
see
talk about
where
that.
it's taking you. And usually it takes you, like you see in the email from, you see that it's something fishy, even the link, when you hover it without clicking, it should tell you many things.
Yes, exactly. You beat me to it, Linda. We'll talk about that at the end.
Sorry, I didn't
No,
know.
you're good. Don't worry about it. So like we're just talking about here, what to look for your sender, which is the name and the alias. Now, what I mean by those two things, I'll go back. The name is Netflix. The alias, it's what's in the brackets. Okay? Just because it says Netflix doesn't mean it's from Netflix. I can change my name in Gmail to Netflix, and I will send you an email right now, and it will say Netflix Hussein sent you an email, okay? You all can go do it right now. Test me if you don't believe me. You can change your name to anything. A name does not mean anything, okay? So when I talk about the sender needing to match the name and the alias, I'm talking about also that address within those brackets needs to match, right? That obviously is not a Netflix email. Clearly, it's some notification, pause, massage, whatever, right? But this is a very clear, this is a UPS informational email, and the subject. Now, usually 99% of the times, if it's a legitimate email, the subject is going to have proper uppercase grammar, right? It's going to be well thought out. It's going to give you a very clear idea of what your email is about, not if it's a phishing email. What does this one say? This one, you see, it's very vague, payment declined, right? That's very, very vague. That's not detailed. This is detailed. Your UPS package was delivered. Very clear. Who, what, and what the item was and what the action was. Very clear. So these are just kind of tips and tricks to validate that sender. So like Linda just touched on, hover over your links, okay? So up top, again, you'll see Bank of America is the name, but the alias is Comcast. That doesn't make any sense. That should ring a bell to you. That should be like, this is Bank of America, but this is a Comcast email. What's going on there? Is that a mistake, or is that something on purpose, right? So hover over your links. Any link that you get in an email, you're usually able to hover over it to see what that true link is. You all have worked with HTTP and CSS, so you understand how to program links, okay? You know what hover looks like. If you create that hover parameter with CSS, you can hover and then display that link there. But within HTML, when creating a link in a ref tag, right? You create the title, which is the text that shows up, and then the actual URL. There's two parts to that. So there's the plain text of the code, which is the text that shows up, and then there's the URL that's pointed to. Okay, so here, the plain text is what's visually presented to you, but the URL is what that's pointed to, which is that hover over area. So even though this says Bank of America, again, this is going to a bit.do gibberish link. So that's obviously not correct. And the other thing to look for that I do just want to touch on is signature and contact information. If it's from a legitimate company, they're always going to provide a very legitimate signature with contact information with an American number, not a foreign number with a weird zip code. It's going to be a US number, probably an 800 help number. So just be aware of all of that. Lastly, grammar. That's a huge one. We talked about it at length. Do not give anyone the benefit of the doubt, especially if they're a company. If it's people, fine, whatever. But if it's a company as big as Netflix or Apple or HBO and you get an email with 1 or 2 or more typos, that should be like, that's not Apple. That doesn't look like Apple to me. Let me think a little harder about this here. All right, before we go on break, any questions on this stuff, on phishing?
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
There's an example though that I think what phishing reminds me of that I put in the chat. I'm just gonna copy and paste.
Oh, sure. Yeah, please. Let me open up.
I mean, yeah, once again, you can ignore the link or whatever. You don't have to actually see it.
That's okay. For some reason I
Oh, you thought it was like a trick. Yeah, I see. I understand. I mean, it would have been a perfect. No. You don't have to watch it, but it's like
No, but I can't see the chat right now for some reason. Why am I not able to see it?
I had the same issue when I was sharing my screen. I was not able to see the chat. I don't know why.
I see it. It was hidden. Okay. You can ignore this link. It's like a SpongeBob. This reminds me of one. Okay, I'll watch that on break, Jahil. All right, cool. But so this we'll go on a 15-minute break. So we'll come back at around, let's do 8:05 because we've been talking a lot. So we'll come back 8:05. We'll talk about the top 10 OWASP web vulnerabilities, and then we'll kind of end class for tonight. But we'll go on break. I'll see you guys back here 8:05. Okay. All right. Welcome back. God, sometimes I swear I really hate Zoom sometimes. Like, I lose my windows all the time. All right. There we go. Like, and that just goes to show, like, I work with tech every day, but sometimes some technology is just still foreign to me. Like, I just lost you. I couldn't see your squares for a good 60 seconds. Couldn't find you. Zoom is weird sometimes, or I'm just tired. Okay, so getting back on it, last leg of class, yay. Okay, so first, what I'm going to do is drop the link for this in the chat, which I can actually find, yay. Okay, so in here, these are the OWASP top 10 web security vulnerabilities. Now, I want us to go through them together. I understand that this is going to be potentially gibberish, but I want you to see what web security vulnerabilities look like so you're able to know how to protect against them. I will say that these are from 2017. The reason that they're from 2017 is that OWASP is an organization, and they put these top 10 like vulnerabilities out every 3 to 4 years. So we are due one in 2021. So we're just waiting for like the as you can see, they have like a data 2020 tab here. So you can see that they're starting to compile data from 2020 to put that into a 2021 updated list. So unfortunately, as of now, the entire industry kind of has to work with the top 10 list of 2017. However, these are still going to be the same top 10 across the board. These are the top risks that people are trying to get into. They're not really going to change that much in matter of content. They may change in where they are in the list of vulnerabilities, but these are probably always going to be up there. So you'll want to navigate to the main tab if you're not already there. And then I'll give you guys about 5-ish minutes to kind of run through these. A lot of these acronyms and stuff should make sense to you because of the earlier modules within this course. So really try to make those connections as best as you can with those keywords, and then we'll explain them. I'll go through them after, but take a couple minutes and kind of work through them on your own. So you can do this for until about 8:15 or so. We'll say 7 minutes. And it's totally expected if none of this makes any sense to you. That's totally fine. That's why we're in the cyber module, for it all to make sense. But yeah, just want you to take some time, read through it, and make any connections that you can internally. All right. So while we're wrapping up, y'all reading it, what are we feeling about it? What thoughts do we have? What connections did we make? What are some thoughts from anybody?
One of
Hey,
my,
Nisa.
oh, go ahead, Shah.
Oh, thanks. Hey, Nisa, this is Shah. So I didn't know that security misconfiguration was that included in top 10. It's like, I mean, you have security settings or access where a user is authorized or granted more access that is necessary. Like a user maybe admin or something close to admin or other security configuration. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and thanks for bringing that up, Shah. And again, I'm gonna play back on a personal experience of mine. I worked at a local healthcare organization, MVP Healthcare. I'm based in Albany, New York, so I worked there. But there's a couple locations in Utica. I'm sure you've heard of it. And that was a huge issue that we had on our security team. And I had never learned about that like in college. I don't know if I didn't remember learning about it in college, or it didn't stick, or it wasn't a thing for us to learn, but I never knew you can give someone more access, because you always think like, oh, like might as well, like if I'm here, might as well just be admin, so I don't have to come back in and do it, right? For ease, it makes sense. For security, it makes zero sense, right? You have to give people the least amount possible that they need. And so, Shah, I'm glad that you noticed that, because that's a huge issue, because people are just granting admin access to everyone and their mother and father. And it's just like, why are there 70 admins in a company of 80 people? Why are 70 people administering 80 people? Think about that math, right? So the rule of thumb, I mean, and there's never really a rule of thumb, because it's like, depending on the nature of the organization, depending on the size, etc. But rule of thumb is that for large organizations, you should think security wise, you should have one admin per 100 end users. That's how you should be thinking about it, right? If you're going into managing 200 plus users, you need a second analyst, because you're going to miss things. It's too much data for one person to be responsible for. Again, humans, we are human. We're going to miss things. You can automate no matter what you want, right? But at the end of the day, it comes through a human. We are looking at something. We're vetting those user files. We are vetting logs, right? We're probably using some log tool like Symantec to analyze logs, but we're still looking at the logs and making sense of them and putting together, an end result, a solution from that. So long story long, Shah, yes, security misconfiguration is big. Any other thoughts before we get into starting this? And we're going to pick up on this tomorrow, but any other thoughts from anyone? Oh, Latonia, I think you had something.
I did.
Yeah, what's up?
Before that, can you repeat that statistic? You said one for every, what was it?
100. So you should think one admin for every 100 end users, whether they're employees, clients, whatever. That's what you should think.
Okay, and then mine was about the logging, insufficient logging and monitoring, and how it typically takes over 200 days. Like that just sounds like a lifetime.
And yep, that's true. So I'll play off personal experience again, and I'll use that child pornography case. We had internet history from him because we had a hard drive that I mirrored and I backed it. We had I think it was a 3-week-old backup that we reverted to then retrieve all of his internet browsing history. But the college that he worked at had 0 logs. So because they didn't have any log retention. So let me be very clear about what that means, is that while they may be having these logs and it's being logged somewhere, no one's reviewing those logs. There's no alert set on those logs. So it's just either being monitoring and not looked at, or not even being monitored, or not even being logged. But again, and I'll talk about this later too, but for a situation like that, you're adding days onto your research time, because the first place you go, let me see the logs. Any person you're going to talk to, oh, malware was on my system. Oh, someone clicked a phishing email. Oh, I found this, malicious virus, whatever. Let me see the logs. Send me the security logs, send me the software logs, all the logs you have, send me them. Okay. And I've been on a forensic team before. I've done all this crap. Okay. And I mean crap in the best way possible because it's fun, but I seriously mean it. The first thing you're going to ask for is logs. So it's a huge deal when if someone reaches out to you and is like, hey, someone attacked my system and I have no idea how. And you're like, all right, can you have your system admin just send us all of their logs for like the past 30 days or whatever? And then they get back to you and they're like, oh, we haven't actually been retaining any logs. I don't know what to do. Well, sister, I don't know what to do either. I mean, if you don't have logs, I don't know where to start. So, but obviously there are other places to start, but it reduces that effectiveness because it's a lot more limited. So just keep that in mind. Long story long. All right, so we're gonna jump right into OWASP top 10. We'll see what we get through until 8:30. And then we will we'll start off tomorrow with a recap, a video, and then working through the rest of them. I'm not going to go through each of the 10. I'm going to go through the most common of the 10, which I think I narrowed it down to 6, which is still a big number, but those are the 6 that I'm going to focus on going in depth on. So SQL injections. And I want you to think back on which module it was that you talked about databases and you talked about database management, which I know you did because I looked at your syllabus just today. So don't even try to tell me you didn't. That's where SQL injections are going to attack. So SQL injections attack SQL databases, hence the name. SQL databases house lines and lines of data. Okay, so if you guys are coding an HTML, CSS, JavaScript application, you're turning that into a robust web application, you're getting user input from some JavaScript form from a user, that's getting stored into a database. That database is now housing data. People want to attack that if it has data that's of importance to them. Okay, that's what a SQL injection is. So it's just one line of SQL code that's just literally injected into your existing SQL code. It's really one line. We're not going to go in depth on what those attack, programs actually look like. But I do urge you to Google it because it's literally one little line of code that's just malicious SQL that will grab, it can either delete all the information in your table, modify all the information, move it over by like one row so it throws everything off. They can have edit access to go manipulate the information. So Kyle Gilbert is going to turn into Anissa Warby, whatever, right? We're going to switch things up just because we feel like it. It's not good for someone with malicious intent to gain that unauthorized access. Okay, so that's SQL injections. Since we're pulling up on 8:30 and I don't want to rush through broken authentication, I want to save time for questions and just kind of a run through of end of class things. I'm going to kind of pause there for now, and we're going to pick up tomorrow with the rest of the OWASP top 10 and then talk about defense mechanisms. But I like to save a couple minutes at the end for questions, comments, epiphanies, anything like that. I'd love to hear it, feedback, whatever. Caitlin is going to send out the feedback form. Oh, she just did. Wow. Look at that. That's telepathy right there. That's beautiful. Perfect. We did not even plan that, guys. But so please fill that out because that will greatly benefit me. I have taught classes before, but I've never taught a Hack Up State class before. So I would love to hear, and I'm the last person to teach in the cohort. So a lot of greater instructors were teaching before me. So please give me your feedback so I can improve for the next 3 days that we're together because I want to make it the best that we can. But before we kind of wrap things up, any questions or comments about anything we did or anything that I said for the day? and this is not one of those times where I'll force you to participate. If you don't have questions, that's fine. But this is one of those, I usually just like to go through this here. But any comments, concerns, anything like that?
I had a question.
Oh, yes.
You mentioned for the, different better password savers, and you mentioned 1Password and several others. One of our other instructors had recommended 1Password, but is there one in particular that you really feel like does the best job?
Yes. Not sponsored, not biased, but LastPass is my favorite. So I'm a LastPass premium member. I pay for it monthly. I totally make the investment. I'm a premium member just because I share it with my fiance. So we have like a shared vault where he has his private one, I have my private one, but we share one account. So it's a lot easier. And we can like share our banking information, whatever. But I recommend LastPass. Also, there's like a mobile app, a Mac application, an iMac application, Chrome extensions, like mobile extensions that integrates with like Asana, Outlook, Gmail, like 50 things. So for me as like a freelancer and doing 50 things at one time, it's like that one-stop shop. So I don't have an excuse to be insecure because it's all kind of there for me. But Dashlane and 1Password essentially do the same thing. Really, it's really just about preference. So I recommend trying out the free trials of each, get a good 30 days of each of them, see what you feel, and then make the plunge with whatever you feel like. Thanks for that question though. Someone had a question about mentorship and they said they were going to ask it at the end of class. Did I touch on that? I don't remember. Or am I completely misremembering?
I'm sorry, that was me, and I completely forgot until you said something.
Okay.
You said, I'm sorry. You said something earlier about mentorships. Do you know, or are you still like open for taking apprenticeships or of any sort? So I don't even know how that even goes about. Like, is there any information on that?
Yeah, you can actually check my website. I've got a mentorship tab up there, but I'm currently, I have 2 more mentees that I'm accepting at this time. Because just personal life stuff, I'm planning my wedding. So next year is kind of going to be off limits for new people coming in. So I am accepting new mentees and my price breakdown, and I'm very transparent about everything on my website, so you can take a look there. I'll share it here. So that's my website. Anyone is welcome to do that. And we can really just, thank you all for the congratulations, really sweet. Thank you. But it's really nice because I have about 6 mentees right now and we all do different things. So with one of my mentees, I'm teaching them Python. With one of my mentees, we're talking about how to interview for a cybersecurity role. With another one of my mentees, we're talking about how he wants to switch from psychology to get into cybersecurity. So I just urge you to like send me a message on there with what you're looking for, because even if I, for some reason, don't work out for you or whatever, I probably have a connection that I can put you in contact with, which I've done before. For example, someone had reached out to me for specifically like a veteran cybersecurity focused role. And I myself am not a veteran, but I've worked with cybersecurity vets before. So I've just put him in contact with one of my former coworkers and they facilitated a relationship that way. So definitely it's really just, good to reach out to me, find out, ask the question. But yes, I am accepting new mentees at this time, Dominique. So totally reach out on my website.
Well, thank you so much. That's a huge help, because even if you can't mentor me or even take me in, of course, the networking is something I'm putting myself back out there. So yeah, definitely.
Of course. Yeah. And of course, you're welcome, of course. And like Linda said too, it's really important to do that. And like she said, and I'm going to agree as well, it's hard to sometimes put yourself out there and make those posts and be like, hey, got a new job, so proud. It's hard to do that sometimes because it's like, oh God, like no one cares. Why am I doing this, right? You always doubt yourself, but that's that imposter syndrome that's coming out, right? That's that like, oh, what are they going to think about me? Let me just not even do it. Because you have to understand that you're doing that to build your professional network. People need to know what you're up to professionally to be able to hire you. If they don't know that you're up to anything, they can't vouch for your skills and they can never recommend you for a role. You see how the cycle goes. But yes, and I see Mel has a question, my opinion on the best role in cybersecurity. That is a good question. Okay, define best. That I'll ask you that. Best as in high paying, as in exciting, fun, never changing, something new every day. What do you define as best, Mel? All of the above. Okay. So for me, I think the best role is getting into like identity management and access management. So my initial role in IT was an information security analyst with a focus on identity access management. And literally my goal was to secure our personal health records of all of our insured people with MVP healthcare. And I thought, I'm like, oh, why the heck am I going to do this? Like, what the heck? And I know we're over time. So if you need to drop anyone, go ahead. I'm just going to finish up this statement and I'm going to be done. But basically, the point of identities is that every company has a set of users, because when you join a company, they create a username for you. You've got your email on their domain, right? That's a user group that's created, right? You've got to manage that. And with management comes security and lockdown and making sure Kyle isn't viewing the salary of everyone in the company because she doesn't need to be seeing that. There's no need for it, right? Mel isn't seeing the financial history of last year's fiscal records of the quarter because that's meant for only executives. There's no reason for Shah and Brandi to be seeing that, right? And if I see that I have access to this file, am I speaking up and am I saying something about it? So that identity user portion to me, I think is one, super fun because you can train people all the time. And two, it's never going to go out of style, out of a job, because there's always going to be users using technology that need to be secured. So long story long, I think identity and access is a cool place to be. But I know we're over time. Thank you guys for bearing with me for 2 extra minutes, but I hope you guys had a good first day. Please fill out the feedback form that Caitlin kindly sent out, and I will see y'all back here 5:30 Tuesday sharp. Have a good night and email me with any questions, and I will see you tomorrow night. Bye guys.